Women Up Radio, designed to facilitate women's empowerment, improve your career, develop your talents, incorporate your passions, achieve fulfillment and success.
Hello, this is Anna Letitia Cook of Women Up Radio, supporting Empower Women and the Girls on the Road in their quest to support women entrepreneurs around the world. Fernanda and Taciana are visiting 22 countries, interviewing women and researching the conditions, the business ecosystems, challenges and advantages that exist in each country. And today we're visiting them in China. So hi Fernanda and Taci, how are you today?
Hi Anna.
Hi Anna, great. How are you?
Lovely, thank you. So tell me, China, somewhere I've always been interested in, but it seemed very closed. So what's the general vision of business, women in business and women entrepreneurs in China?
Well, Anna, we have like two Chinas. Of course, we went to big cities, like we went to Shanghai and Beijing to interview, and the countryside will be totally different. And especially like the women we interview are from the one-child policy generation.
Yes.
So they're very well prepared. They're very eager to have their business to go global, to really build like strong companies. Many of the women that we talk to, they're very resourceful. They have the full support of their families, and they are making sure that they're going to open like companies in like very tech oriented, with looking forward like not only to the Chinese market but also outside of China. But of course, what they say is like when you go to the countryside or other cities, still women have a huge pressure to marry early in life and to dedicate themselves 100% to their families.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think that China was another major discovery for us. First when you arrive in Beijing, everything is grandiose. It's huge. It's a lot of people, of course, to say the least. And that was really impactful. But I think there's we heard somebody say that it really, stuck with us as well. Like China, the government is still communist, but the economy is 100% capitalist. And I think that the major example of that, especially in Shanghai, for example, every block you would see a luxury brand. And you name it, they are all there.
Really?
And they're not there with only one store. No, they have chains. So let's take, think about any luxury brand. They are there with, dozens of stores. It's incredible. It's really incredible.
They are buying it because we saw lots of people with bags, and we're like, all the countries that we have been, China in these two cities we saw like the most beautiful like super large malls, like very luxurious.
Yeah. And I think we noticed two things while in China, and of course people told us that as well. There's a lot of, especially the younger generation, they are leaving the countryside to go to the big cities. To understand China, you kind of have to understand how they are somehow, identified. Like they have tier 1 cities, tier 2 cities, tier 3, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So, of course, these are based on the size of the cities, not only in terms of people, but also economically speaking. So there's a lot of young women and men leaving the countryside to go to Beijing, to Shanghai, to Guangzhou, to Shenzhen, and that's certainly changing the landscape. That's one thing. Yeah. But what Fernanda mentioned about, women feeling empowered, we saw, several examples because they grew up, they told us, being told that they were as equal as the boy next to them. They could do anything. And one interesting aspect, because they were the only child, so the family would have to invest everything they had, in bringing that child and that girl, of course, to the best conditions, because later in life, the parents or the grandparents will depend on these women. or these men.
Yeah.
So, China society is very interesting.
Yeah.
Some of the challenges that other people have, like access to market, right?
Yeah.
They don't have in 1.4 billion people.
Yes.
Yeah, but also, Anna, what we see, like a lot of people wanted to go to China to open their business, to expand their markets. And when we were talking to not only with the entrepreneurs, but also with people from accelerators, China is still very much for Chinese. What they say is like companies try to get access to the market in China, and they easily get bought out or just pushed out of the country. And especially because, even Uber tried to get in India and ended up with, getting acquired, the apps are all in Chinese. We talked to one guy, of course, off records, that they say government, he says, it's very willing that people grow their business, making a lot of money. They don't really look at if they are paying taxes, they make a blind eye. But once you get to a size that is really, now it's nice to go after you, they just go really quickly and, to try to make you pay for taxes. Otherwise, you're just going to jail.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's very it's booming, but it's not
it's the wild
economy. Yes, what we hear. And of course, the government is still the chunk of the business, kind of public service, big corporation, mining, construction. The startups in the tech companies, it's still a small part of the economy. But of course, they are trying to make global brands. We already have some examples.
Yeah.
But even women in Singapore that we interviewed, they try to go and expand to China because that's where lots of money and opportunity and consumers are.
Yeah. And so, what does it mean for a woman entrepreneur? Is it anything special? Is there something different? What does it mean to be a woman entrepreneur in China?
I think they are very self-confident. Mm-hmm. Very much more than in other countries that we visit, or equal or more, because I think there's so much they were so much taught that you are as powerful, as capable, as strong as any other boy or man or entrepreneur. Yes. That they grew up with this mindset that they just want to conquer the world.
Yeah. On the other hand, they still face a lot of social pressure, and again, here comes the marriage pressure. And that's why so many Chinese women are postponing marriage because they want to focus on their business, they want to focus on their career. So that's definitely an issue. And they say, my business is more important right now. I'm going to focus on that, and maybe later I'll think about marriage.
Okay. And so, what are the main factors in the business ecosystem?
Well, I think they are very prepared because, again, as we said, the families put all the investments, all the resources, so these women could have a good education, good access, good opportunities. Many of them went and study abroad. Yeah. They're self-confident. They have now the resources to build the business, accelerators like China, especially in these cities that we visit, have build up ecosystem to propel business forward. Yeah. Yes. So I think they have all what it takes to be able to succeed.
Excellent.
Yeah, but we have to remember, that's the good part, of course.
Yes.
We have to remember that China is trying, they are kind of trying to catch up in so many issues. And one of the issues is legislation. So it's really important when we talk about intellectual property, for example. Mm-hmm. And we heard that from, a few people in Beijing who are part of the ecosystem that say, intellectual property, it doesn't exist in China.
No.
Yeah.
Only now the government has really started to agree and somehow come up with some sort of legislation regarding that.
Yeah.
So, that's huge when you're trying to develop, some sort of technology or product design or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's a huge aspect in the business environment, especially for entrepreneurs who are trying to build to build a business. So this is key. So there's a lot still to be figured out by the government related to the entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Because right now they're more in a mood of copycat. They see whatever works outside and bring to the Chinese market and make it Chinese. Everything in Chinese for the Chinese, and they have like a huge consumer base. But of course, what happens when they start like building like very innovative solutions, then has to be more regulated. The government really lets you do whatever you want. From what we heard, of course, we don't know how it is, if it is true or not, but what we heard from them. And then when times come for them to, come and check on you, then you have to make sure you have everything right. Yes.
Okay. And any other particular challenges or advantages for the women?
I think advantage in China, because like many countries, when we think about like building a company, depend of the size, you have to look like outside of your country. And in China, because of, first the government wants China to grow and to keep growing. And they have, within China, they already have a lot to work with.
Yeah.
So it's like they can, like think about the business and think about like how to expand in their own country.
Yeah. And you kind of maybe postpone forever, looking outside your country, because you have global. In theory, you have 1.4 consumers of your product, depending what you're doing, of course.
Yes.
So for them, I would say, for many of them, this is a huge advantage. That's what we felt.
And a huge advantage that is very hard for foreign companies to enter their market.
Yeah.
So they face a lot of competition because there is a lot of Chinese, but they're Chinese local, competing Chinese.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So they don't have the foreign culture, etc. Okay. And so, what soft and hard skills have they in common, and what ones have they developed?
I think soft, I would say like relationship, because in China it's a big thing. Like who the way you talk, exactly. It's very, it's a very trust culture.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whatever you have to have like connection. You have to have trust, and and what they say, like, let's say that you know 5 people. Remember what they say, like, it doesn't matter that you trust the second one in line. You have to make sure the 5 ones are trustworthy. Because if there's one that someone don't like, you can lose business because of this.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So it's a very trust-based approach.
Society. In this sense, I mean, you can read in the other way. They're not, they're very distrustful in terms of, they really have to know everybody to open themselves up.
Yes.
So they place a huge value on trust. It might sound odd, but that's how it is.
Yeah. Okay. And hard skills?
In hard skill, again, I think they are very prepared. It's a very competitive market, so they have to really like keep pushing and keep learning. And it's not like, I'm comfortable where I am.
Definitely. Yeah, and they're very tech oriented. They are huge in e-commerce. Women in China, they are huge in e-commerce business. That's the place when you see, a lot of women, but also in manufacturing, in tech industries. So it's very diversified.
Excellent. Okay. And is there one key motivational difference in China that could help other women entrepreneurs around the world?
I think they are very money oriented. I think many women outside of China, we kind of like have some, like issues of talking about money, making money. I'm ambitious. I want to make money. And I think in China, we didn't face that. They feel ashamed of, I want to be successful. I want to make money.
Yeah. That's true. Yes. Okay. And I think another major motivation is, try to stand out in 1.4 billion.
Yes.
It's itself a major motivation.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Fernanda and Taci, for telling us about China. It sounds very interesting. And it sounds like there's a lot of opportunity if you're in the right place there. So,
and if you're Chinese.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, marrying a Chinese person, right? Next week, we're going somewhere completely different. And we're going to be visiting you in New Zealand.